I'm going live, so hopefully this will work. You let me know when you see Jody's famous line is, I see the little red box. That means we're live.
Okay, I see it too.
Oh, you're there. Ta-da! Hi, Angela.
Hi, Jen.
Yahoo tried to keep us apart.
It did. It's playing games. It's a Mercury retrograde, so there's going to be communication problems.
There's so many issues, but thank you for sticking with us, and thank you for inviting us into your studio the second week in the row.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Welcome.
I put some flowers back here just for you.
Oh, those are really pretty. Are those from your yard?
Yep. I went out picking, and Christy says she sees us, so I just want to say hi to Christy Jones-Ray, who's going to moderate the session.
Hi, Christy.
And I'm over in a little corner. This was my mom's hutch, and we're cleaning out my parents' house. And I said, you know, nobody wanted it. I was like, it's so pretty. So I set it up on this vintage Brunswick Fees fabric.
Oh, nice.
And it's going to be here. And I'm getting ready to do, I have this little table next to me with all mushrooms. Ooh, designed by Emma. And, you know, she makes these little amazing mushrooms.
Yeah, those are adorable.
So are they fun? So I'm going to get ready to set this up and do like a show later in the week, because our theme this week is embracing vintage. And Emma's things are beautiful and new, but they have like a really vintage vibe. So I thought I'd sort of do a little display with them here.
Awesome.
All right. And Christy is here and says everybody's joining in. So she's going to, hey, Mia. So you're going to do a second week for us on.
Yes.
Everybody was so amazed with the still life, and how like all of a sudden the peonies like came to life. That was the most magical thing you did for us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. And I was going to work off a photograph, but I've decided to amp up the challenge and work from my imagination and memory.
Ooh.
To finish it off.
I love it. You know, I have to just, everybody who's watching, Angela has been demoing for us, and hi Cecilia and hi Jody. Angela has been demoing for us, which is amazing. And every week after your demos, I send out more and more of your books. So if anyone hasn't gotten Angela's book yet, just message me. We're doing free shipping, and all of the painting projects are in here. And the first week you sort of did a bird on a branch for us, not the first week, but a series of weeks. And now you're doing a still life with flowers. And last week you set up the flowers, and we're going to continue this week. And I have to say that after last week's session, I kind of paged through, and it was really interesting because I could hear your voice in the words.
Oh, really?
And it was such a cool thing. So thanks for doing this for us.
You're welcome. So this is how far we got last week. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, you're perfect.
Okay, I might shut this door because my furnace is really loud.
Okay, take your time. And I'm going to have to run down because my little cousin Morgan is coming to the building.
Okay.
So she's going to text me when she gets here, and I'm going to run down and let her in because she's working on some updates to the website.
Oh, nice.
I also want to say hi to Britta and Suzanne and Jay. Everybody's watching. So thanks.
Hi, everybody.
I know. So this is week 2, and Angela thinks it'll probably take 3 sessions to do this, right?
Yeah, I'd say probably that we could finish it in 3 sessions.
Okay, great. And what was amazing to me was that you started out with a super dark background, and now it's just totally luminous. And
yeah,
if anyone wants to see the first part of the session, it's on my page. It was a week ago. So
yeah.
And thank you for giving me a break in my day. I've been running around like a crazy person trying to do all these displays. So this is a welcome break in my day. Britta was at my house. Britta's watching now at like, I don't know, 7:15 in the morning because Aiden took a bunch of little boys to the beach.
Okay.
So I then started packing boxes furiously. And this is my treat break in the day. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. Well, I've talked about my palette before. I'm just using the same colors as last week. And the
Can
thing
you tell us names of those colors too? Because it's a real surprise to me how you start with like dark blue and then it turns up yellow and pink on your page.
yeah, so it's not really organized very well, but I usually go light to dark,
Okay.
and it's all mixed up today. So I got two kinds of white, titanium white and zinc white, and then I've got a violet, cobalt blue, Mars black, cadmium yellow, and quinacridone red, which is a nice, really pink fuchsia type of red. It's a cool red.
And then Angela's got sort of tips on setting up and keeping those supplies ready. And then she does a whole value thing with the paints, which I sort of try to repeat to everybody each week, just in case. I know Britta has been painting a lot and has become a natural sort of tinting and toning the paints.
Oh, nice.
But
Good.
I think keeping those supplies at the ready has been something really fun.
Yeah, definitely. And because acrylics dry fast, you have to have spray water available because they dry pretty fast. And I'm actually even going to spray my canvas a little. You definitely don't need to.
Well, you work with a ton of water, and that's something that we've talked about a lot. And I've had you here at the gallery, so I know how much water you work with.
Okay.
Like there's tissues and water everywhere. But are you working on one of your temporary palettes this week, or one of your?
Yeah, this is a temporary one, not my glass one. So
Okay.
yeah. So let me get. And I've got a palette knife for mixing, and I'm actually going to put in some background. And I want the flowers to stand out. And so the background, when I had the flowers, would be this darker blue. But I'm going to make like a gray background that's going to be darker than this. And I'm actually going to bring out more highlights in the flowers.
Okay.
But it's going to be mostly a blue background. So I'm just mixing a mixture of red, yellow, and blue, but it's mostly blue. And then
I'll be right back, everybody.
Okay. It's kind of looking a little purpley, and it's too purpley, so I'm gonna make it more green. Don't be shy about using a lot of paint, because it's better to have more paint than like not enough paint on your palette. You can always add more. So I'm actually going to add more of the blue because I want the background to be more blue. And it's looking a little too purpley. Sometimes you don't know until you mix up the colors, because each different colors have different properties. So like cobalt blue is different than ultramarine or phthalo blue, so you just have to play around sometimes. And now it's getting more towards the green tone, and I like that better. It matches more the wall behind me. So I'm going to go ahead and use that.
I'm back.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Sorry, I had to let my little cousin Morgan in. She's working today, and I'm getting messages from Christy. So Christy, thank you so much for moderating. And I also am watching my direct messages, and someone's asking me if this is the painter who's demonstrating that usually does all the birds. So the answer to the question is yes. Angela is really well known for her birds and her blooms. So those of you who follow Earth Angels closely might be more easily able to recognize Angela Moulton's work. But we did a bird on a branch as our first demo last month. And then the request was for still life with flowers. So that's what Angela's doing now. But yes, these are Angela's birds.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do something a little weird. I'm going to use this mop brush, which is one of my favorite brushes. And
I know you love your mop brush. You use your mop brush every week.
And I'm going to actually just go like, I might like run into parts of the flowers, but it's okay. Oh, I got some purple in there, but that's okay. It's gonna just, it's the happy accidents that.
Well, that's the one thing when you've taught here, Angela, your style really builds confidence, and that's something that, and hey, Jocelyn is watching. Thank you, Jocelyn, for being here. I think that here's a background up close, so you can see how Angela's layering color there.
Mhm.
And I think that you're encouraging nature when you teach is great because it really breeds confidence. And I think the thing is to really just start painting. And it's so hard for people to first put the brush on the canvas, and
Right.
your encouraging and your willingness to tell everyone they can paint has really been so fun for me to see happen here. When we have Angela for classes, I mean, Angela, you could have 12 or 15 people here, but it's not like a paint and sip where everybody does the same thing. Everybody's piece looks different because you're really teaching technique. And that's been, I hope that we can do this in November. My fingers are crossed.
Me too. Yeah. Somewhere in the world we will, right?
Somewhere in the world, that's right.
So this is as you can see, I pretty much in like 5 seconds like covered the whole thing, and you just have to like attack it. You don't be shy and like timid. And
Right.
then that's one thing I like about the big brush is you can't be shy with it. Like literally it's just like a big gun. I mean, not like.
No, I know what you mean. It's so funny because it's very empowering. It's like when you're working with a big blank wall at the gallery versus me
Yeah.
like creating a tiny little precise display. I mean, I have this little glass cabinet back here that has little 2-inch fairies in it, but in the other room, I have a 20 by 15 foot white wall right now that I have to style.
Mhm.
And sometimes large brushstrokes are very freeing, the same way as working with big giant pieces of furniture is very freeing when you set up or style a display. And
Mhm.
you can always redo it. And that's something that's great too. I mean, you've also
Yeah.
taught us that sometimes removing paint is just as important as layering paint. And I'm getting a message
Yeah.
to bring some of your other birds over. So you
Okay.
keep talking and I'm going to get a demo item.
Right. So like, for example, you could use like a small brush to do, and I will go back later and get into some of these nooks and crannies with smaller brushes, but it's just important. I guess my point was to just, the big brush helps you just aggressively lay down paint, and it's just have fun, not worry about it too much. And we can go back later and work on details.
Like here's a big giant horse, which I absolutely love. And here's, you've taken sort of the same sentiment
Mm-hmm.
and they're both wonderful in your style, but I can see that you had to work a lot more tightly here, and working small
Yeah.
sometimes can be hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun too. It's like and like I was saying while you were getting those is like, I'll go back and put some more details into
Okay.
parts of this painting, but you don't also want, like most artists, it's like when you look outside, your brain's not focusing on every single blade of grass.
Right.
At the time. So, and the same with a piece of art, you might want some fine details and then others that are just kind of abstract.
Got it.
I'm gonna get some more gloves and we're gonna work on the flowers. All right, so I'm gonna, and this background is a little more gray than my blue walls, but I think the fact that it's more muted just brings out the pinks better. And that's something about color theory, is like colors compete with each other. So if you want to bring out the vibrance of one color or one area of your painting, to kind of tone down the areas surrounding it. Okay, so I'm gonna mix up some pink. Just gotta get my
And I just want to say, Christy's texting, hi Wanda, and hi Lauren. Jocelyn says she loves the mop brush too. And Jocelyn's been painting lately, which is awesome, Jocelyn. Keep painting, keep sharing it.
great.
I hope that you can get back this way soon, Jocelyn. We miss you. I miss everybody.
Yeah.
These sessions have been a great way for us to feel connected, and it's certainly not the same thing to be connected on social media, but it has been a wonderful opportunity for us to kind of schedule this. And so if anyone's watching right now and coming late to the party, we're on with Angela Moulton of Pratt Creek Art. And I'm sitting at Earth Angel Studios in front of a cabinet that I have to create a display on with design by Emma. And Angela's going to be doing these live demos at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, moving through different projects that she has covered in her book. And Angela was supposed to be here in May for our event. We were going to do a signing. It was going to be fabulous. And of course, instead, you're sitting in your space. I'm sitting in my mind going, oh, it is what it is.
So I'm using this glaze medium just to make it more transparent. Just this one dark area. And you don't have to use this, but it just helps make it more transparent. But
Is that a medium like you looked with the one with the copper filings in it? Like that you use with the copper filings in it?
Yeah, this one doesn't have any texture. It's just called a glazing medium. It kind of extends the dry time and makes it more transparent without like cracking or breaking up. So, okay. So I'm going to use it for just some darker, well, these are really pretty. These are more bright than I thought they were going to be, these areas. So I might, I think I need some alizarin crimson. That's what I'm really thinking. Sometimes you have to add a different color.
Okay.
I mean, the other option would be to mix, but I did have a crimson last week. This is like a really dark red and it's also transparent.
I also want to say hi to Ro, who's watching. I spoke to Ro on the way up here. Ro, I'm glad you could watch us for a little bit. And also Linda. And Linda and I saw each other downtown recently. Linda, it was so nice to see you, even from afar. I know what you're saying about unexpected color combinations because, you know, it's the rogue pillow on the bed that when you're creating a decor display, or those rogue colors that really speak to you kind of first. They're the comers, so to speak.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're what brings you in and keeps you looking at something when you add something unexpected.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to be talking all this week about embracing vintage, and sometime embracing vintage is, and we're trying to do just like little themes each week because we have 4 studio hops this week. Today we're with Angela at 2 o'clock. And if you're watching, and we have a question for you from Wanda. Do you put that medium before you paint? From Wanda. She put the paint on the palette and then put the medium in. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could do it either way. You could put it on your palette first. But it's nice because it's a squeeze bottle and you can decide how much you want. You know, it's pretty easy to control. So
in terms of embracing vintage, what I was going to say is sometimes it's using what you have because there's an old piece of furniture around that you want to repaint. There's something that you want to repurpose. And so we have 4 studio hops this week. Angela this afternoon at 2. Tomorrow morning is, and these are all New York time, Christy Jones Ray, 10 a.m. We'll do coffee talk with Christy, sort of chatting about vintage because Christy's got some, there we go. That's what you're working with?
yeah, I just add a little white and yellow.
Okay.
So it's more like the whites of the peonies. Yeah, it's you can work off photos too. But you have to remember photos kind of trick your eye because it's taking a 3D image and like making it kind of distorts it when it's, it's just not the same as working from real life. So sometimes I just work from memory. And I just remember there were lots of, besides the pinks, there were some creamy colored peonies.
There were. I was going to say, I love that already, how you're moving into the lighter tones. I'm going to ask you at some point to pick it up and hold it closer to the camera because it's almost irresistible from here. And I'm like, I want to reach and pick it up.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll bring it closer.
Yeah. Thank you, Angela, because we're getting a lot of requests. And Kathy is also watching. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for bringing that up.
Uh-huh.
Kathy, I got your text. I'm sorry I didn't text you back. I've been jammed the last couple of days, but I will be here tomorrow at the gallery almost all day for curbside. So anytime after 11 a.m. and I will text you or call you later.
Okay. So I'm mixing up a green. I just mixed up a dark green with the blue, yellow, and a little bit of the Mars black. But I also remember this cobalt blue and yellow don't make very dark green. So I remember last year I also used like a sap green, but I'm gonna go ahead and just lay down. Actually, I think I'll get the sap green again. No, it's
you're just playing with color. That is the most, I love how you just like, oh, let me just add this in. Let me see what happens.
okay.
It's sort of like putting an outfit together and seeing what happens with the color. I love it. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, so let me get a clean brush for I'm gonna just go into some of these places where there were, and the peonies had a lot of spiky.
They did. I remember because they were a little bit past their prime. You could really, they didn't just look like balls.
Right.
Remembering it now, if any of you were with us last week, and I know Christy, you were here, I can remember that some of them had started, they were more interesting looking because they looked like they had been in the vase for a day or so, and they were sort of more open, and you could see into this. I remember you saying, Angela, that you could see into the center of the flower.
Yeah, definitely. You could like see the stamen or whatever you call it. Yeah.
Don't take me back to 6th grade biology. I don't remember it.
So I'm just adding some.
And Christy, thanks for moderating. Christy says we have 20 people watching you demo, which is amazing.
Oh, cool.
And we're so grateful that we could do this. And Angela, thank you for sharing your time and your talent, because one of the things that's been wonderful for me is I look forward to the studio hops because it gives me something to plan my day around, because the days have been long and really full. It's just such a wonderful treat for me. And after our sessions, I just feel so totally inspired by color. I'm looking at things differently. When I put together this little just display of flowers out from the yard, I looked at it a little differently. I was trying to break it down, like you said, into color and shape. And
good.
I think that's been really fun for me in terms of paging through your book and watching you work, is that I'm seeing things differently. And I'm just so grateful. So thank you for sharing.
That's great. Yeah, we all inspire each other, because I get inspiration from stuff you do and from other people too. So I think it's all great to collaborate.
Yeah, and it's important to stay connected and to also sort of ask. So I've loved the follow-up questions to your demos. We've been fielding lots of questions and responses, and I'm so grateful. Oh, Robin and Joe came to Warwick and to pick something up, and they went to the Polish bakery and got the poppy seed roll.
Oh, awesome.
Because of your painting. So I have to show everybody. So there's this poppy seed painting, this poppy seed roll painting. Angela talked about it, and Joe and Robin had watched the session, and then it was so cute. Joe came back to pick up Robin, and he goes, I went to the Polish bakery and I got the poppy seed roll Angela talked about.
I love poppy seed roll.
Isn't that so? But isn't that great? You know, so I mean, we feel more connected with that.
Yeah.
And so, I just thought I would tell you, because it inspired Joe to go get poppy seed roll. Maybe not to paint, but it was
one of my favorites. I'm not Polish, but we live in Chicago where there's tons of Polish people and bakeries. So
we went to
the first time my dad brought it home, I was like, what is that? It's like black, but then I was like, oh, it's so good.
It's so good. Yeah, we have a lot of Polish people in the community. We have the Black Dirt region around here, which is the drowned lands that were drained in the 1850s by the Polish farmers. So we have a ton of Polish families that have been here for a very long time. Okay. And then there's been more recent Polish immigrants. So I have a group of girlfriends I call the PALs, which you've met them. Britta, you're there. The Polish American Ladies Society, which we're just being silly, but we just call them the PALs.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love Polish food. So, okay, so I'm gonna maybe work on a little bit of the bottom before we get going. And then I think next week I will print out the photo I have, so we can work on some of the details.
Okay, because we're almost at about a half hour, and let's see, I have some comments coming in from Christy.
Okay.
So let me read Chris and Christy Jones Ray. Thank you for moderating this. We'll be on with Christy in the morning Kathy says the backdrop looks awesome. Hey, Kathy, that's great. It looks cute, right? It's going to be covered. Somebody's asking me what I'm going to be doing on this backdrop. I'm going to be covering it with designed by Emma mushrooms, and I'm going to do an IGTV episode celebrating Emma and her mushrooms, which is why I have on my Amanita mushroom top today, which
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
I bought in Iceland, which is pretty random.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
But I figured I'd wear my mushroom top to do my talk about mushrooms. And
Yeah,
Amanita
that's
mushrooms.
great. And the necklace goes well with it too. I love it. It's so
Good.
sweet.
And then, and look, talk about embracing vintage style. It's part of a
that's
billiard ball.
That's so fun. Is that like an open thing? Does it open?
No, it's just, it looks like I got it at Round Top. It's like,
Okay.
it was a designer I was working with for a little while. Kathy, you have, if you're still
Oh.
watching, Kathy, you have the silver earrings from this gal. I can't remember her name.
Okay.
It'll come to me.
Cool. So I just mixed in a little burnt umber into the creamy color.
Okay.
I'll show you the kind of like a tan. I'm going to use that on.
Quick question for you, Angela. If you're working on the temporary palettes and you put your paint out and you're gonna like maybe come back to work on this painting at another time, do you keep that palette to see what you were working with, or?
I mean, usually I do let it dry before I throw it away.
Okay.
But I more just take notes, sometimes even write down the names of the colors on like a Post-it note or something and stick it next to the painting.
Okay.
So I know what I used. Yeah, it's good
Right.
to remember.
Like if you were embroidering, you would want to know the names of the thread, or if you're a knitter, Kathy is a big knitter and Christy's a knitter. You always have to watch like the dye lot that you're working with to match. So it might be the same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to read you a message. Lauren's husband joins her to watch the visits because he's a horticulturist and loves birds.
Cool.
So, you know,
That's
it's
cool.
grateful anyone can join us for these journeys, and we'll continue next Tuesday at 2. So
Okay.
so this started out, I love to go back and watch these sessions to like all of a sudden, like last week, it was like all of a sudden it went from, now it was yellow. Now I don't know how you do this.
Yeah, it's like magic. That is the fun part of painting.
It is like magic.
Yeah.
Is that what you like best about the painting? Is the end result? Is it the process? Is it looking at it at the end? Like, what do you like best about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like best a painting like 6 months after I've made it. When
Really?
it's like hardened and maybe I put the varnish on, and then you go back and you just remember
So I write
painting, but like the poppy seed cake and stuff like that.
When you, just a question, like obviously you remember that you've painted it because you look at it and you know, oh, I painted that. But I've written for a living for a long time, and like even like a grant that I wrote, or like a descriptive paragraph or something, I could look at it like years later and I hear the cadence of my voice. I can even remember writing it. Do you remember where you were when you painted I mean, obviously you're in your studio, but sometimes, like, do you remember actually like the moment of you painting, or do you just remember like the big picture process?
Sometimes I remember just very, like you said, minute details of the process. And not so much where I painted it, but just that connection of the paints and the canvas and the whole process of the kind of like the flow going through of trying to get those feelings or those memories onto the canvas.
You know, that's what you just said is really part of why I always encourage people to be creative with whatever they're doing, because that flow, even if it's just creating a display, like last week's theme was play and display, even if it's just creating a display or moving things around, that entering that creative process really allows you to be present in those moments. And so you do remember that sort of tactile, very uplifting experience. So that's been really worthwhile for me through these journeys. And when I do pick up paint, and I know for Britta too, who's been painting a lot, and Jocelyn, I'd be interested to know if you feel this as well, but just that process, you can remember almost the feeling of it later on. And that means you were really present in that moment. And I think that's a a positive thing.
Yeah, it's no different than like baking a cake, or I mean, just on a different level, you
Yeah,
know, or
okay.
like a more elaborate process maybe, but it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, it's just like the work that you do with your hands and your heart and your mind.
Well, I love it. And I love how you bring this all together for us. And I want to wrap up and say thank you. And I want to say thank you to Kathy. Says the painting has such depth. Thank you, Kathy. I'm so glad you got to watch it. And Kath, I'll be here all day tomorrow. And if anybody else is watching that needs curbside, I'll be here from 11 o'clock tomorrow. Angela, you'll continue with us next week and we'll look at the photos and maybe add some
Yeah.
picture. Okay.
Yeah, we'll finish it up, put some details, maybe some of those like the centers that
Okay.
probably show up in the photo that we took. So
Awesome. And
yeah, maybe add some petals around the ground even.
I would love that. And I will tell you that this absolutely will have been the highlight of my day. It's a very busy day and
Awesome. This was a highlight of mine too.
you bring color and creativity to my world. And so sincerely from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It's a magical half hour for me.
My pleasure. And thank you. For
Absolutely, Angela. And I know you sent me a box. So when we do this next week, I'll do a different display and we'll have your paintings behind us. And
okay, awesome.
in the meantime, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Angela. Thanks for moderating.
Bye.
And we'll be on with Christy tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Okay, great.
Talk about projects. So
Okay,
thanks,
sounds
everybody.
good.
Have a great
Bye,
day.
everyone.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Angela.